Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willy B, we're reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell?
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I got Kory back. Kory, how we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you look good.
Thank you.
You look good. Did you do something with your hair?
Yeah. So today we'll be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah.
Yeah, we're reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming today.
So the first Spider-Man movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Uh-huh.
Directed by?
John Watts. Sorry, that's very distracting.
John Watts.
Yeah, director of Clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to bring that up.
Quite the jump.
Being a horror man. Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, Clown.
Do you like that movie?
I thought it was solid.
I thought it was all right, yeah.
I saw it when it came out on Netflix, I think. But
I watched it with my mom's boyfriend. I'm not sure why.
there you go.
It was all right, though.
Yeah. So John Watts in the director's chair, and then, cast-wise, we got Tom Holland
Mm-hmm.
taking over the reins as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. We got Jacob Batalon as his partner in crime, the guy in the chair.
My personal friend.
Yeah.
By that, I mean a
Yeah.
man I talked to through Instagram one time during the No Way Home hype.
We got snippets of Zendaya, who has a bigger presence to come.
Yes.
We got Tony Revolori as Flash Thompson.
Man, I was hoping you weren't going to bring him up because I was going to be like, you missed the most important cast member.
Dang. Marisa Tomei as
Yeah.
Aunt May.
Yep.
Amongst a bunch of others, obviously.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton
I thought you were going to skip Michael Keaton. No, I really did.
is the villain in this one.
Absolutely.
As Vulture. And I'll give a shout out to your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
But he's hopefully got a presence to come in the future.
Hopefully. It's kind of looking that way. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of talk. He signed on to do a movie about, forget what his name is, but he's a Spider-Man villain. He's like a disco villain. I forget what his name is. His name is like Sound Freak or something. I can't remember what his name is, but they were doing another one of those Sony, villain-led Spider-Man But it got scrapped, and he was talking about it's because they might be making some movement on a Miles Morales movie and how he's probably going to come back as a Prowler. He showed up in Across the Spider-Verse
Yes, he did.
as the Prowler live action. So it's only a matter of time that he's going to get it. Do you know the story behind why he even got casted as
From
Prowler?
Weirdo, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, but good cast, great cast.
Absolutely.
We'll start with the good. Mm-hmm. I like a lot about this movie.
I mean, most of it's good, honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I really like Tom Holland. I think we've been spoiled with 3 great Spider-Men, so when the debate comes up, which one's your favorite? To me, it's so hard to pick.
Me too.
I probably love Tobey's movies the best.
Yes.
Andrew Garfield's the best actor to ever play Spider-Man. But Tom Holland fits the comic book mold of Peter Parker so well.
Probably the most.
Yes.
Yeah, especially of a modern adaptation of what Peter Parker would have been in the 60s, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom Holland, he brings new life to the character. This isn't the first we see him in the MCU. Obviously, our first snippet of Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in Civil War.
Yep.
But this is our first Spider-Man movie. But this is the first time we get a movie that isn't just Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Spider-Man isn't on his own. He has Iron Man in his corner the entire movie. And I think that's what catches a lot of flack for the Tom Holland movies is that they're not Spider-Man friendly neighborhood movies. They're bigger picture because he has the implications of becoming an Avenger.
Sure.
I don't mind it. Now, we're probably a few years from Spider-Man 4. I think what they're saying 26.
I think 26, yeah. I think 2 years.
And now where we're at, I would obviously love a grounded, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man with Tom Holland just
For sure.
to get that adaptation of his character. But where we were at in the MCU, I think these movies fit in really well, and I like Homecoming specifically, the one we're talking about today, a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree that I'm not the biggest fan of the Spider-Man getting help thing. Yeah. I think his integration being woven in with the MCU as much as it is in his movies does tend to irritate me. I definitely have ire with that. But I think on the other hand of that, there are still things that I don't like that I kind of have to agree with, which is we've had 2 great adaptations of Spider-Man so far. That's the thing that's going to make it stand on its own. You know, that's the thing that's going to separate it from Andrew and Tobey, is actually that it gets to be interwoven with that universe. Yeah. So I think as getting an adaptation that does something new, I don't think that's a terrible take on it. And also, like, on the same hand, if they hadn't done this and then it came out later that, oh, did you know we almost got a movie where he spent the whole time, like, not the whole time, but, you know, Iron Man was featured in it both. And then in the second one, you know, Nick Fury and, you know, Mysterio. And then in the third one, it was the other Spider-Man. We probably would have been begging to see that anyway. Yeah. So, you know.
For sure.
Swings and roundabouts.
You know, you already mentioned some of the villains that we'll get to in the later movies. I like Michael Keaton's Vulture a lot. I definitely throw that in the good.
He's great.
Michael Keaton, in general, is great.
Oh, my God.
But I think he's amazing as Adrian Toomes. The twists and turns we get with his storyline, his family, his character, from, you know, Peter's love interest, Liz, in this movie, being his daughter, and he realizes who he is when he gets to the homecoming to pick her up. All of that, I think, is really well done.
For sure. I would argue he's actually, in all the live-action Spider-Man movies, he's the most grounded and the most, like, he has the most reasoning to be a villain. He's the most believable villain. Yeah. And I don't say that as in, like, he's acting better than the others. Just his purpose is just so much stronger than any of their motivations of the other villains.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Michael Keaton's Vulture a lot. I like the look of the Vulture, too. I know it's not, you know, one of my gripes with Spider-Man 2 is I didn't love that we didn't get the green and yellow Electro. And I know for some people, maybe you want, you know, the more humanistic, long-nosed Vulture. But I liked the suit that was built for him. Yeah. The alien, you know, warfare stuff.
I thought we were going to get to it later, but I'll say it now. Yeah, I actually, this might actually be maybe close to being my favorite adaptation of the Vulture. I mean, because I actually love the Vulture's original design. It's actually one of my favorite Spider-Man rogues, believe it or not. I love that original costume. I think, honestly, this Vulture suit would go... I think it would be my favorite with 3 simple changes. 1, the bomber jacket, just, you know, fit in with the green color scheme a little bit more, but I don't hate that brown. But really, the main thing is... You know how he has the big, which it makes sense that he has them, but he has like a big turbine on both sides. Yeah. That part I don't love, that it sometimes sticks out, you know, kind of. I don't love that aspect. And the other thing is he uses like a weapon for most of the time he's in the Vulture suit in the movie, and I just want to see him, you know, wing versus webs, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But honestly, beyond, and those are 2 kind of minor complaints. I think it's a terrific adaptation. I still remember watching that Homecoming trailer on the Jimmy Kimmel live show, because that's where they dropped the trailer the first time, and I remember seeing that Vulture mask and be like, holy shit, that's terrifying. Yeah. Terrifying.
No, I like it a lot. And like you said, I like the storyline we get. I like everything around it. We get some fun interactions when it comes to the Vulture and his character. That's where we get Donald Glover. But his goons are fun. We get Shocker. I don't know how you feel about Shocker.
I have strong feelings. You want to get into him now or later?
We'll get into them later if they're not good.
Cool. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I don't really have a take on Shocker because I don't feel like we saw enough. But I like all the interactions we get with Vulture. I love all the fights we get with Vulture, from the boat scene on the New York ferry to the scene where he's cutting down all the pillars and Peter gets trapped underneath him, to the scene where he's taking the homecoming. That scene where he's like, give me a second, I'm going to give him the old dad talk.
That's the best scene in the movie.
That is such a good scene.
Maybe. I remember that scene being really good, but I remember like kind of thinking like people hype that up a little bit. And then rewatching in theaters, I was like, no, this scene is, I forgot how, I mean, he's saying that to a 15-year-old kid. He's like, I will kill you and everyone you love if you interfere with my business again. Yeah, and he's so believable.
And he's like, I just saved your life, so now we're even.
Now what do you say? And making him say thank you? Yeah. Cold as fuck, man.
It's so good.
Sorry for swearing.
So when it comes to like my favorite scenes in this movie, that's one that sticks out. And then I love the scene where I like the Tony Stark suit. I get it. I'm excited to see Tom Holland in his own made suit in Spider-Man 4. Hopefully what we saw at the end of No Way Home is what we get. Because I loved that. But I like, the technological side of this suit, and the scene where he's locked in the warehouse and he's like running the 101 courses.
Yeah.
I think that's such a fun scene.
It's a fun scene of him trying to problem solve his way out. Because that does feel like something Spider-Man would do.
Yeah.
Like more than enough times, you see Spider-Man make a hammock and he's like, well, I'm going to hang out in this hammock web for a while. It's like the same thing in The Amazing Spider-Man where he's waiting on the lizard and he's playing like iPhone games as he's laying in the web. I love that scene too, for sure.
But really, there's a lot of good scenes.
There's a lot to talk about, actually.
Yeah. This movie, something else that's in the good is I love the score. And we get Michael Giacchino here.
Me too. I love his rendition of both Spider-Man themes. He does the original classic one and then his actual Tom Holland Spider-Man's theme. Terrific, actually.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Another thing, I don't think we've gotten a bad score when it comes to Spider-Man movies.
No, we haven't, I don't think.
Honestly, there are flaws in some of the movies, yes. But if you look past them, we've gotten spoiled when it comes to Spider-Man movies. For sure. Spoiled for choice. I think the two superheroes that have a lineup of movies that really there's no misses in, it's Spider-Man and Batman.
Yep.
And, growing up with Spider-Man and Batman, honestly, getting to see these movies still be made, and they're still so good. And like you said, there's still so much good to talk about when it comes to Homecoming. And the crazy part is it's probably the weakest of the three we've gotten of Tom Holland's movies.
Yep. We'll get there.
For me.
Yeah.
But
for most people, that is the consensus, which consensus actually means you're right pretty much. So, yeah.
But, man, where do you want to go next?
With the good, another thing I want to say that's good is Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. I think her age for being Aunt May, even though like there's a joke, hot Aunt May, wear something skimpy, whatever. She's an aunt. Yeah. Okay. And also, still, Sally Fields is still probably my favorite, but I think her age, she's the most just believable aunt.
Yeah. The rest kind of feel grandmotherly.
Yeah, like Sally Fields still feels a little grandmothery, but Rosemary Harris, it's like, what the hell? How old was your mom, dude? Unless it was like, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's always like, this is my Aunt May, and it's like, she's gonna die soon, and you're 15. Yeah. Like you look as old as my great grandma, dude. Yeah. And she's dead.
No, I think Marissa Tomei is a great Aunt May. I agree. She definitely feels the most like an aunt. Yeah. She's got her issues. She's kind of, quirky, dingy, but she, at the end of the day, she's that fun aunt. And when you get, in most situations, the uncle and the aunt always try to be the fun ones. Yeah. That's what we get here. We get fun Aunt May. For sure. One of my favorite scenes, actually, rewatching this, a scene I didn't realize how much I liked, is the scene where Peter's like, let's, she takes him and Ned to a party. Yeah. And then he's like, let's just leave. And then she's like making jokes about like, your body's changing or whatever. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, just go out there and have fun. Like, it's fun. She's like a good, she's a very positive influence in Peter's life. Yeah. Yeah. I love Marissa Tomei. Oh, so do I. And everything she's in, I tend to enjoy. One of my favorite movies of hers is My Cousin Vinny, and we won't go down that hole because I do love that movie, and it's not what we're talking about today. Yeah. But I respect that. It seems like every movie she's in I do enjoy, and Homecoming and all of these Spider-Man movies are no different. For sure. Yes, for sure. Most of the cast is great. Again, we have already touched on Tom Holland. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I really, really, really love his Peter Parker. But even, I love Jacob Batalon as Ned Leeds. Oh, I love that guy, man. I guess there's one that I'm indifferent on, but we'll get to it because I feel like... That's more meh or bad? I feel like maybe you're in the same boat. Maybe we'll get to it. But and then we already talked about Michael Keaton. This is just a well casted and well acted movie, and that's kind of been the thing the MCU always did really well. I wouldn't even say they have their flaws these days, but I wouldn't even say it's casting is the issue. It's rushing out the visual effects and the story being rushed. And actually, the casting is always pretty solid. Yes, Marvel, the MCU, and Feige and his minions and whatever you want to say they are. they've always done a really good job at casting, from starting with Robert Downey Jr., which might be one of the greatest comic book castings of all time.
Probably ever, yeah. Probably ever.
To, the end of Phase 4 into Phase 5. I think that they've always done casting really well, and this movie's no different.
Even with the projects that have disappointed me, like, I'm a huge Moon Knight fan, and I was disappointed by it, but still, like, Oscar Isaac is perfect for that. That's the case with most of those movies. If I'm disappointed or don't like it, I still love the casting.
Yeah.
And also, kind of on that with Tom Holland's, I forgot to say this. This might be my favorite performance of him as Spider-Man, honestly. Yeah. It's either this, it's probably this, honestly. He does some great acting in No Way Home, but that's later. But Homecoming, there's just such a fresh... You could tell it's really his first big shot, being the star of a movie. He's Spider-Man. As an actor, he's new to this.
Yeah.
He's new to that level of fame. And even recently, Zendaya was like, it's such a beautiful thing to watch Tom grow into like a star.
Yeah.
But just like, I forgot how good he is actually as Peter. And like, there's just such a... He's just so fresh to watch. Yeah. I'm glad I gave this one some distance before watching it again, because... Man, he is. I miss that young Tom Holland. Honestly,
yeah.
This is a small complaint, but I hate his hair from all the movies here on out because he's it's too good of hair. Yeah. His hair is perfectly nerdy and normal and low key, still pretty good. Like it's a perfect. It's perfect.
I think something else I like about this movie too is that if you follow the Spider-Man movies as a whole. In Tobey's movie, it took very, very late into the second one for somebody to find out his identity. Mm-hmm. In Garfield's, it took midway through the first one.
Yeah.
And this one, Ned finds out almost immediately.
Like right off the bat.
and so it's fun having somebody along with Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, that's why I'm excited for the fourth one, because we should be getting him on his own, which I'm excited to see Tom's rendition of that. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was fun to get, the guy in the chair. I thought that was fun to have with Spider-Man. So fun. Because it was new.
Whether he's helping you in that chair or watching porn, you just love to see it.
Yeah.
There's some good jokes in there, too.
Watching porn?
That's the
worst thing you could have said.
I remember being flabbergasted whenever he said that in the theater, because I was like, can they say that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good line, man. Yeah. And that's another strength of this movie. The relationship between Peter and Ned is so good that this is something that just hit me 5 seconds ago. This is the only movie you see of those two together before Infinity War and Endgame. And by the time Endgame rolls around, remember Peter comes back from being blipped and he's like, well, all my friends have probably aged. And he sees Ned across the hallway and they both cry and hug.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And I forgot, they've only had one movie together, but it's so strong and palpable that it's just so believable. Oh my God, those two are so good. And what an odd choice to take a character. Ned leads. Ned leads. And then just to completely change him, but in a way that I love, honestly. Because we're not getting the Ned Leeds Green Hobgoblin. Let's be for real. Maybe I would like that actually. I would like that, but it's just
Jackal,
Yeah, that's true. He's kind of also a ripoff of Miles Morales' best friend Genki Lee, which kind of makes things awkward. But I love it.
Yeah, that on-screen chemistry is great. You almost feel like they're best friends, and even after the movie, they were always having pool parties together. So the relationship built inside and outside of this movie was really cool to see. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of guy you build the Death Star with, man.
It is the kind of guy you build the Death Star with. That should be a saying.
Yeah.
Like whenever I go to your wedding someday, right? They're like, "Who's this guy? How close are you?" I'm like, "This is a guy I would build the Death Star with."
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
We just made that saying.
Absolutely. It's gonna trend all over the internet. Don't even worry about it.
That'd be sweet.
That would be awesome. Another thing I want to bring up. This is a small thing, but I didn't notice it on this rewatch. I think there's an intentional nod to Michael Keaton playing Batman in this movie that I didn't notice before. There's a point where I think it's whenever he's flying up. I had put it in my notes. Whenever he's flying up to the plane, because the Avengers Tower is moving and stuff. Oh, by the way, Jon Favreau, Happy Hogan, never misses. Never. The best man ever.
Jon Favreau's the man.
He's probably my favorite person in the MCU period. Honestly.
For me, he started with Rudy as D-Bob.
Well, besides Donald
He's just
Glover.
never missed a beat when it comes to Jon Favreau being on the screen.
Dude, Jon Favreau is the first thing I ever saw him in was Daredevil. So I've loved Favreau my whole life.
He
I guess Batman Forever. I just didn't know he's in it.
He is a big reason why the Downey Jr. casting even happened. So
Jon Favreau.
If you really want to talk about the MVP of this universe,
Jon Favreau single-handedly was the beginning of this universe.
Yeah.
I know people don't love Iron Man 2. I do.
Yeah.
I think the first two. I think he's solid. Oh, he just got this whole thing kicked off. But anyway, sorry. The Vulture's flying after the plane, I think. And there's a moment where the Vulture flies into the moon for like a second. And it kind of looks like he's doing the Batwing fly into the moon thing.
Now I have to watch this again to look for that.
Yeah, go buy your ticket.
Speaking of the plane scene, probably the last good I can really mention, and we can move on if you don't have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That final battle, that final fight between Vulture and Spidey is so good. The beach fight. And I love how Happy gets to the beach and he's webbed to the box of saved stuff with a note that says, "Sorry about your plane."
Yeah, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah. I just love everything about that final scene.
Great arc.
And so good. And then, him steering the plane by pulling on the wind flap and all of that. So good. And, I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but, it just goes without saying, because this was before the MCU got bad at this stuff. But, the CGI, the visual effects, all of that.
Sure.
Super well done in this movie.
Looks really good. Really good. I totally agree. There's some good action in this. On a rewatch, there's some better action than I used to give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think that, and also that first scene where Vulture scoops Spider-Man as he's jumping towards the van, awesome.
Yes.
Terrifying. If you were a young kid with superpowers, you would also be... Me personally, I'd be like, nah, fuck it, Tony. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm hanging it up.
Yeah. One more note for me in the good, I guess, is right before that scene when he's running through the backyard and he's running with Ferris Bueller. Shout out.
Yeah. I also love the scene simply in the warehouse where he's dodging the wingsuit and he's like, "What do you mean, man? This thing hasn't even touched me." And Michael Keaton's like, "True, but I wasn't really trying to." And the whole thing collapses, and then we obviously get the nod to that issue of Spider-Man where he's carrying the two stone pillars and the water's dripping down. Also, two great references right there to that comic issue and also the iconic the iconic panel where you see half of Spider-Man's face, half of Peter's face, doing that in the water, like the reflection. That's a great shot. Yeah. That's a fantastic shot.
For sure.
Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that because that is definitely worth mentioning, that shot.
Absolutely.
Right,
that's such a good shot. I forgot how good it is.
That might be the best shot in the movie.
It probably is. And also, Tom Holland's acting whenever he's screaming for help. And I remember as a kid really being like, oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly makes you want to cry because it's literally just a kid screaming for help because at this point, he's just been helped in every situation that he needed it.
For sure.
And he kind of, Tony's right, he screwed the pooch on pretty much everything up to that point. But that character arc of just, sticking to the ground, being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, all that stuff is just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Is there anything else you have for the good?
No, I think I'm ready to move on to the meh.
So we'll hop over to the meh then. The only thing I have in the meh is some of the comedy.
Mm-hmm. Some of it.
And that's a trend with the MCU. Sometimes, you get your Ragnaroks where every joke lands, but sometimes the comedy's a bit forced. In this one, there were moments on this rewatch where I was like, I remember that being funnier.
Yeah. There's definitely quite a few jokes that I remember being funnier. I still like some of the ones, like, I remember I used to think that the joke where the kid's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just in here playing chess." Like, it's still funny, but it's still like, now it's kind of meh. It's not as good on rewatches and stuff like that. Obviously, the I'm watching porn thing's still great.
Oh, that's still great. The one that sticks out to me that I thought was funnier when I first watched this movie was when that kid with the chess kid in the bathroom. When
or he's washing his hands
and all that, and he's like. This time I was like, I didn't realize how long this scene drags because of that kid.
Do you know why? Because everybody's seen that scene before, so no one was laughing in the theater. So you're not like, and then also, but there is one joke that it's almost so good that I almost put it in the good. I guess it's not as funny, but I still think it's a great joke. Mm-hmm. Is the one whenever, Spider-Man webs a dude to his car and like hits his head on top of the car. He's like, "Don't steal, man. That's not cool." He's like, "It's my car, dumbass." Yeah. That's the first time I watched that, I about cried from how funny I thought that was.
I love how Stan Lee's having a conversation across the thing. He's like, "Hey, Marge, how's your mom?" And they're both like 70. I'm like, dude, there's no way his mom's alive.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I don't know. Some of the comedy is really the only flaw I have with this movie. Mm-hmm. really, that's it. I mean, I don't love this movie as much as I love, the first two Tobey movies, or as much as I even love the movies that are coming up. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy this one a good bit.
Yeah, me too.
Most of it isn't the good for me.
Me too. Do I have anything else in the mat? I do like the cascade of characters that we get to see. Yeah. We get a sprinkle of the Prowler, Scorpion, Vulture, Shocker, the Tinkerer. But like some of them, I don't love their inclusions. Yeah. I think setting up the Prowler for a Miles thing, I think that's fine. The Scorpion one's kind of meh for me, but only because I'm like, if you don't pay that off, I'm actually going to shoot somebody.
That's such a good cast.
Because the casting's so good. He's so good in Better Call Saul. The casting could not have been any better. Yeah. Seriously. The Tinkerer, I'm not a big fan of.
I have a feeling Scorpion might come into Spider-Man 4, but...
I hope, but I've seen some rumors recently that it's looking like a Venom situation. Okay. So we'll see. Scorpion became Venom for a while, so maybe. I don't know.
They're trying to do, like,
that'd be interesting.
More, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're doing. I hope the rumor and the idea was college years, which I think is perfect. Because
Spider-Man 6 isn't a Sinister Six movie, dude.
A good bit of... Huh?
If Spider-Man 6 isn't Sinister Six...
Yeah, that is kind of a missed opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they do college year, actually, the Sinister Six did form whenever he was in college. So I think a college years situation, maybe even, I don't want to say retread the Gwen Stacy stuff, but like, there's a lot of good college years Spider-Man stuff. Yeah. So I hope that's the direction they go. Yeah, I don't think I really have. Okay, I'm going to bring it up now. I think this is the casting that you're talking about. I'm putting it in the Meg because I have good things and bad things. Tony Revolori's Flash, as I figured.
That's another Met for me. I wouldn't put that in the bad. It completely slipped my mind. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
I like some elements of it, but he doesn't feel like the Flash bully.
What I...
You know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't feel like... And maybe that's because we got this big, monstrous Flash in Tobey's movie. But
Andrews probably is the best one, honestly. That's probably the most accurate Flash.
Yeah.
With Tony Revolori's Flash, I say good things and bad things because some of the good things is I think when it comes to bullies, he's a very accurate representation of a bully. Yeah. Someone who's about as big as you that you could probably beat up, that he's only popular because he's rich and he's the first person to throw an insult. So he's kind of funny, but also sometimes he says shit that's not even funny, but people just do it because they're just blinded by that simple thing. So I think because of that, and also the other thing I kind of like is that he's not so much a bully, and also in the college years of Spider-Man, Flash Thompson is kind of a bully, but he's also kind of friends with Peter.
Yeah.
Which Tony Revolori, you kind of get that in a way where he's like, he slaps him on the ass and, he does the Penis Parker thing. He said you're dead the one time. That's the most dickish thing he does in the whole trilogy.
Yeah.
And especially by that, like, in a way they're also kind of friends. They don't, you can tell they don't hate each other.
That really comes to fruition too in the later movies.
Yeah.
With Tom Holland.
Especially No Way Home, obviously. Yeah. But it's kind of more just like, in a way, he may not even know that he's really being a bully to Peter. He's just a dick to him and doesn't realize he's being a dick. He thinks he's being playful, or he's just taking it too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's bad. Mm-hmm. It's just not my favorite.
It's not great casting, but I love Tony Revolori. So
I think he's a great actor.
In a way, it's like, so that's why it's good and bad. That's why it's going in meh.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else in the map for you?
I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm ready to move to bad.
I don't have anything in the bad, so this is all you. We'll hop over to the bad. You hit it.
Shocker. Shockers in the bad.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, first of all, he just they never even name either of the guys that play the Shocker, by the way. So the Shocker's name is usually Herman Schultz. This time I did a rewatch, and I was like, I'm trying to figure out which one's Herman Schultz. The first guy, because the first guy, when it comes to characterization and things like that, is more accurate to Herman Schultz.
Yeah.
He never says their name, either of them. So I don't even know which one's even supposed to be the actual Shocker. 1. 2, costume is obviously lackluster. There was behind
the sleeves is all we get. Really.
That's it.
It's not even that great.
And behind the scenes, they had a Shocker outfit with like a hood that turns into a thing. It's not great, but it's still obviously a Shocker outfit that they didn't commit to. 3, he doesn't even have 2 gauntlets. He has 1.
Yeah.
That's upsetting. And 4, it's less of like, a device that can emit, shock waves and things like that. And they are concussive.
Yeah.
But he has to like physically hit things. He literally, it's a modified version of Crossbones' gauntlet from Civil War,
Yeah.
which I think that's an interesting idea to reuse some of this technology in the universe and integrate it into these other things, especially with the Vulture being an actual Vulture, by the way, which is a great idea, that he's scalping the damage control stuff. But it's just like come on, man. It literally would not have been that much harder to just make him the actual Shocker, to just commit to it. It's pretty much all right there. You just do it.
Yeah, I'd probably put that in meh. I wouldn't say I hated it.
It's
definitely,
upsetting.
You mentioned all fair points.
I'm a big Shocker fan. Yeah. Not like huge, but I'm a big Shocker fan. I've known the guy my whole life. And like, it's so easy to justify too. You say he needs a suit because the whole point of the suit is that it's like he can't get electrocuted by his own stuff. Like his suit is counterintuitive to what the so it's like it's not even a hard thing to integrate. It's just goddamn, you could have just did it.
Yeah.
Did you run out of money? Is that what happened?
I don't think that was it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Disney has all the money.
Yeah, that's fair. You made all fair points, but I still wouldn't put it in bad for me. But it definitely isn't good.
And as far as bad things go, I don't really think there's anything else that's bad in this movie. I think it's pretty good. The other thing that I should have put this in math. Some of the action is good. This is kind of bad. I don't think the web slinging's very good. Whenever he swings through cities and stuff, I think Tom's is the worst by far. Because one, we don't get a lot of it, which I don't need a ton of it. But two, it also doesn't feel as realistic as the other two. And three, like I said, he's always in neighborhoods where he can't even do it. Yeah. Like he's always in a small Queens suburb, which it is nice to put Spider-Man in different environments so that way we can experience what he's like whenever he can't rely on swinging on buildings and things like that. And this ties into
the backyard.
Yeah, which that's a good scene though. That I like. And even the part where he swings on the there's a good cowboy switch whenever he swings onto the the tree house and it falls over, and then he falls into a shed and somebody else pops out. It's a good cowboy switch. But this goes into the action too, where the main thing I wanted out of this movie, honestly, at the beginning, and this is why I felt disappointed by it. It shouldn't be a big deal, but it kind of is. When Spider-Man and Vulture fight, usually there's like a city chase thing. There's really not really much of a city chase. And two, aerial battles, that's their whole thing. Yeah. I mean, there's even a version, one of my favorite fights with Vulture and Spider-Man is in Spider-Man Web of Shadows, where the Vulture actually has like throwable feathers. They're like big metal feathers that he throws, which he doesn't have to have those. But it makes for a really interesting dynamic where not only is he getting things thrown at him and he's coming at him, but it's like it's always like it's a magnetism thing, and that's how he's able to hover. And it's such an interesting way to do it in a video game. And in the movie, we really don't get a lot of. There's only a few times maybe where Vulture even takes a swipe at him. Yeah, you know, I was a little disappointed by that.
For sure, I can get that. I don't really have anything in the bad.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
A lot. When it comes to Spider-Man, it's hard to say anything's bad.
It's a good movie. To its core, it has one of the best Spider-Man messages ever committed. I think when it comes to the movies, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 probably beat this one. But this one, that sense of responsibility, that sense of being hard, doing the balancing act, and I think this is up there, one of the best.
So that'll take us into our final thoughts and rating. What do you want to leave off with Homecoming? And what do you give it out of 10?
All in all, I have my silly complaints. It's okay to have complaints about things you love. I still love this movie. Yeah. I do. I used to have a Homecoming poster in my room. Yeah. I think just bringing in a version of Spider-Man that feels like a kid, an actual teenager, was such a brilliant thing that we had been wanting for a long time. And then also this cascade of characters and kind of making it a John Hughes film. It's not really my thing. That's why, I don't love it as much as you do. That's obviously your thing. Yeah. But, I still think it is a very good take on Peter. And also, I think it also gives a lot of leeway to actually learn more about Peter as opposed to just rushing through Peter things so we can watch Spider-Man fight. Yeah. I think it was, getting to experience a lot more of Peter's day-to-day life and actually interweaving that with the Spider-Man stuff better than a lot of Spider-Man movies has. Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I think this is a fantastic film. You want me to give my rating? Yeah. I'm going to give it let's do a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10. Okay. For me, I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10. Obviously, like this one a lot. Like you said, it's almost that coming of age Spider-Man movie.
Would you say that as you wear a Spider-Man mask? This is one of your faves?
I like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I like Spider-Man a lot. But I mean, like you said, it's coming of age. Feels like very John Hughes. We literally get a Ferris Bueller clip in this movie.
They're not hiding it.
If the comedy was a little bit better, I think this bumps into the 9 range. But on this rewatch, there was a lot of forced comedy that I was like, okay, I remember that being funny, but it wasn't. But other than that, like, there's not very many complaints from me. Excited to dive into the next 2 because I know how
Me too.
we feel about the second one. Have very similar feelings, and the third one, I know we have a little bit of a dynamic.
Just wait to see that, baby.
So it's gonna be fun, but starting with Homecoming, it's just a feel-good Spider-Man movie.
It's a good start,
and it was a lot of fun seeing this the first time and seeing it again in theaters.
It was a great rewatch in theaters. Sure. It really was. It really was.
Yeah. That'll do it for Spider-Man Homecoming. Kory?
Should have held out my hand and made you try to find it.
Thank you for coming on, my man.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Anytime.
all for watching. If you like what you're watching, please check out some of these other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. We thank you all for watching, and we will talk to you all soon. See you later.